Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is Michael Mulholland, Chief Financial Officer of Cytodyn. Joining us on today's call is our President and CEO, Dr. Nader Pourhassan, and our Chairman, Chief Medical Officer, and Head of Business Development, Dr. Scott Kelly. Before we begin, it is essential that we provide you with important cautionary language related to certain federal securities laws. Our remarks during today's conference call will include forward-looking statements. Forward-looking statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors that are difficult to predict. Actual results may be materially different from any future results expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. These risks and uncertainties include, among other matters, statements regarding leronlimab's potential efficacy in certain immunology and oncology indications, the company's ongoing ability to raise additional new capital, that clinical trials may not commence or proceed as planned, products that appear promising in early trials may not subsequently prove to be viable on safety or efficacy grounds, products may not receive regulatory approval or market acceptance, competition may reduce the commercial potential of our products, we may experience product recalls, manufacturing issues, or product liability, and our patents may be challenged or unenforceable. Although forward-looking statements help to provide complete information about the company, forward-looking statements may be less reliable than historical information. The company undertakes no obligation to update publicly these forward-looking statements except as required by law. Please refer to our recent quarterly and annual reports filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission for more information about the risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially as compared to our current expectations. I will now turn the call over to Dr. Nader Pourhassan.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone for being on this call. Before I start today's call, I would like to introduce a very important individual, Dr. Scott Kelly, who has done some fantastic work for Cytodyn since April 10, 2017. Dr. Scott Kelly is not only the chairman of Cytodyn's board, but at my persistence, he has recently accepted multiple roles with Cytodyn, Chief Medical Officer and Chief Business Development. Dr. Kelly, can you please give us a little background about yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Nader. I'm Dr. Scott Kelly. I'm a physician, and I've spent my entire career in clinical medicine. I completed 4 years of undergraduate work at Emory University, 4 years of medical school at the Medical College of Georgia, and 4 years of medical residency at Emory University. I've been with the same practice since 2002 until my recent decision to focus solely on the success of Cytodyn. I first became interested in leronlimab in 2015. I've always been fascinated with the concept of the pathways approach, where you find one molecule with potential for multiple indications. I believe we have found that with leronlimab. I followed the molecule for 2 years to monitor the safety and efficacy before agreeing to join the board of directors in April of 2017. I became the chairman of the board in December of 2018 and chief medical officer and head of business development in April of this year. My goal is to be sure that we aggressively pursue all indications where leronlimab has the ability to help patients and to help identify partnerships and business opportunities for Cytodyn. Back to you, Nader.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Before I continue with my first update in regards to Cytodyn's COVID-19 clinical trials, I must say that we continuously are receiving testimonies of individuals who believe the lives of their loved ones have been saved by leronlimab. I would like to read the last 2 of such testimonies that I have just received. First, a physician from Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Nicholas Agresti, who treated 3 very sick, critically intubated COVID-19 patients. And he believes that leronlimab saved the lives of these 3 patients. Thank you, Dr. Nicholas Agresti. Dr. Agresti is also working with Dr. Kush Dodi from Amarex to publish the data from these 3 patients. I would like to first read Dr. Agresti's email to one of these 3 patients in regards to leronlimab. Here's the text of the email. It was a pleasure speaking with you tonight about your wife. I gathered from our conversation she spent more than 30 days in hospital, most of those days in the ICU and very ill. You mentioned she spent about 3 weeks in rehab after being discharged from the hospital, and although they gave her a wheelchair, she is able to walk around in the house without assistance, dress herself, and her voice is getting stronger every day. She has made a remarkable recovery, and I appreciate you sharing all those important details, and I apologize if I got a little choked up. Dr. Pur Hassan is the CEO of Cytodyn, and Dr. Lalezari is the Chief Science Officer and Advisor. Your wife is still with us because of the innovation of these doctors. They made the drug available for physicians around the country to use on an emergency basis. I have included their email addresses per your request. The second testimony is from a patient's wife. Dear Dr. Pur-Hassan, my husband is one of the patients that received the drug leronlimab. Dr. Nicholas Agresti at the Southeast Georgia Health System in Brunswick, Georgia, is the physician whom spoke with me and explained the potential of the drug leronlimab. I readily agreed, especially since my husband was given no chance of survival at that time. My husband is doing better than I had hoped. He's been in the hospital since April 1st, and he had a lot of underlying health issues. He's still got a long way to go and fighting an uphill battle, but he's alive and getting better thanks to your medication, leronlimab. I don't know what would have happened if Dr. Agresti would not have acquired your wonderful drug, leronlimab. Thanks so much. We are speechless when we receive these type of testimonies. All these wonderful achievements of leronlimab was initiated by one doctor, who we call our hero doctor, Dr. Harish Sithamraju. He also enrolled more than 30 patients in our phase 2 COVID-19 trial and many in our COVID-19 phase 3 trial. So we have patients in COVID-19 doing very well with leronlimab from the East Coast under care of doctors such as Dr. Harish Sithamraju of Montefiore, from West Coast like Dr. Aro Yang from UCLA, from all over the country like Dr. Nicholas Agresti from Georgia, and many more. And from all these places, we have testimonies of patients who were on social media or local TV stations like Miss Samantha Moti, or like the patient who was on ECMO for 30 days, and she is now home, discharged from hospital, and doing very well. Overall, Cytodyn received more than 70 emergency IND during the last few months and provided leronlimab to all these patients. However, all these anecdotal data does not get us approval from the FDA. What could give us approval for COVID-19 is only, and rightfully so, a randomized, double-blinded placebo study. We have 2 such studies. Our most anticipated study is the one with 75 patients, randomized trial for mild to moderate patients with COVID-19. If you recall, about 2 weeks ago, our phase 2 enrollment suddenly slowed down after we had reached about 50 patients. And 2 weeks ago, we made the statement that we will stop the phase 2 trial no matter what on June 15th if we don't reach 75 patients. That is just 4 more days from today. But today, I have a fantastic news. And the press release about this just got released a few minutes ago. Our enrollment reached 75 patients today. and our first randomized double-blinded placebo-controlled trial has reached its crucial milestone of full enrollment. How did this situation change so rapidly? Well, as I said, I cannot emphasize the great work that our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Scott Kelly, is doing for us. He has come to our rescue many times before, and this time I will allow him to explain how did this happen. Dr. Kelly, please.
Yes, so Dr. Chris Reckner is a contact of mine. He's a clinical trials specialist and internal medicine physician. Unfortunately, Chris tested positive for COVID-19, and he was clinically worsening. We arranged for Dr. Reckner to receive leronlimab under an emergency IND, and he clinically improved. He was very grateful for Cytodyne's efforts. He has been a tremendous asset in enrolling our mild to moderate COVID-19 trial. We have been very impressed with his work, and Dr. Reckner has agreed to assist Cytodyne and Amarex with enrolling all trials going forward in a number of indications. Back to you, Nader.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you so much to Dr. Reckner. And also many thanks to tireless efforts of Dr. Kush Dodi at Amarex, who has done a fantastic job getting all these patients and all these sites enrolled. So very soon, we will have our primary endpoint of this trial, but we are doing something very important with our other randomized trial also, which is a phase 3 registrational trial, and that is, we have instructed Amarex to prepare for interim analysis of our CD12 trial, which is the critical COVID-19 patient trial. 51 patients interim analysis data will be available in parallel to our other trials' primary endpoint results by 2 to 3 weeks from now. This concludes our update about COVID-19. Now, let us update everyone about the status of our BLA for our first approval of leronlimab in HIV indication. BLA submission, we have told everyone that the submission was made, and FDA recently has indicated that they will give us the PDUFA date by July 10th if they don't have any issues with any other items. They did have another issue with manufacturing, and that one they have given us till tomorrow to answer the 6 questions or so. And as of today, we already have finished all of that. Dr. Nitya Ray, our Chief Technology Officer, submitted that to Amarex. It will go to FDA either today or tomorrow, and then we will be waiting to see if we could get the PDUFA date sooner or July 10th. And if there's any issues, we will let the shareholders know about it. So next is our manufacturing. Our Chief Technology Officer, Dr. Nitya Ray, has done a fantastic job arranging maximum manufacturing for us from 2 different contract manufacturing organizations. According to Dr. Nitya Ray, in 2020, this year, we will have about 1.5 million vials of leronlimab, which can treat about 375,000 patients. At current prices of treatment of COVID-19, this product could generate about $2.5 billion for Cytodyn this year should we get FDA approval. The number of vials for manufacturing in 2021, next year, is as high as almost 6 million vials, which yields $9 billion revenue next year if we get approval for COVID-19 from the FDA. Wow. So that brings us to who will distribute leronlimab should we get approval for COVID-19. Distribution deal, we have signed a non-binding agreement, and we are hoping to have the final agreement done. Mike Mulholland and our legal team have been working very diligently on this, and I would like for Mike to say a few words about that. Mike, please.
Certainly. Just wanted to reaffirm that we've been working hard, and we are now in the final stages of negotiating some finer points on a definitive agreement. And when that's complete, and we expect that to be very soon, we'll make the appropriate announcement. Nader?
Thank you, Mike. So the next update would be about our cancer trial. 22 solid tumor indication basket trial, phase 2, a phase 1b-2 metastasis triple negative breast cancer, a clinical trial for compassionate use of cancer, and clinical trial for emergency IND cancer. All are going forward very well. And I would like to ask Dr. Scott Kelly first right now to explain the mechanism of action of leronlimab that allows to have so many different potential indications. Dr. Kelly, please.
Sure. In regards to cancer, the role of leronlimab is to control the tumor microenvironment. We know that cancer cells release RANTES to attract supporting macrophages and Tregs. Leronlimab blocks macrophages that support tumor growth and blocks Tregs that turn off the immune system. We believe leronlimab can repolarize pro-tumor macrophages into anti-tumor macrophages. We also did a study by Dr. Daniel Lindner at the Cleveland Clinic that showed that leronlimab inhibits tumor angiogenesis. We also believe that leronlimab can prevent metastasis through CCR5 overexpression and endovascular migration. Currently, I'm in the process of creating a detailed animation by Nucleus Media, which should be available to the public in the next few weeks. Nader?
Can you also tell us, is the bar very low for stage 4 cancer for approval, or could you explain that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good question. Immunotherapies will benefit somewhere. You'll see different studies in the literature, but about 20 to 50% of cancer patients, but often they stop working after 1 to 2 years. And, we believe that Tregs might play a big role in that. So we can enhance that and potentially make these drugs more effective.
So can leronlimab get approval from FDA for cancer? Can leronlimab get breakthrough designation for cancer? The results of the patients that we have so far indicates that circulating tumor cells on almost all the patients are zero. Our enrollment in basket trial is really picking up, and I believe Dr. J. Lalezari has about 5 patients or so right now enrolled or in process of being enrolled. I believe the number of patients reaching out to us is so high that he has to constantly be in touch with different people. I get 2 to 3 email requests and I send it to him. Dr. Lalezari and his wonderful team at Quest Clinical are working very hard to assist all patients to go through the screening process. And we believe we will have quite a bit of data when it comes to meet with FDA for our preliminary breakthrough designation discussion, and we're very excited to have that date. Now, we also said that we want to have NASH clinical trial to start. As everyone knows, Cytodyn announced some very exciting preclinical data from Cleveland Clinic from Dr. Daniel Lindner in regards to our cancer potentials. Those studies allowed us to get a green light from the FDA for a phase 2 trial. As of a few minutes ago, we put out a press release about Cytodyn initiated its phase 2 NASH clinical trial. As we promised, we will have about 10 phase 2 or 3 this year, a milestone I believe only big pharmaceuticals can afford. Dr. Kelly, could you explain about our potential with NASH?
Yes, this is something I'm very excited about. We will be moving forward to our phase 2 NASH trial very soon. I've been in discussions with a number of liver specialists who are in full support. We know that hepatocytes secrete RANTES, and CCR5 is present on both stellate cells and hepatocytes. We also know that stellate cells are what produce the scar tissue in the liver. And this is a problem where 30 to 40% of the population has fatty liver disease, and it's even higher in the HIV population of 30 to 65%, with 3 to 12% developing NASH. We are looking at one of the leading causes of liver transplant this year, and there's currently no approved treatment. So we're going to do a 90-patient trial, randomized, multi-center, 30 patients per arm, placebo arm, 525 milligrams and 700 milligrams of leronlimab for a 22-week study. Nader?
Thank you, Scott. And in regards to MS trial that I talked to everyone before, our animal data in the past was so strong that we have to start our phase 2. The protocol and the IND, initial new drug application, is being prepared, and we are going to submit that and start enrolling as quickly as possible. And Amarex has been instructed, and the work order is in place right now to go forward. Scott, could you please explain the mechanism of action of why we think MS is an appropriate indication for us?
Yeah, this is exciting as well, Nader. So MS is a disease where the immune system attacks the central nervous system. And based upon our early positive animal studies, our thought on the mechanism of action of leronlimab in MS has been to block the CCR5 effector cells from crossing the blood-brain barrier to destroy myelin. There's also some literature to suggest that RANTES, which we've learned about more in our trials from COVID-19, disrupts the blood-brain barrier. This has led us to consider another potential opportunity for leronlimab in Alzheimer's, also in traumatic brain injury and stroke, to name a few. The literature is rich in the support of CCR5 antagonists for these indications. So as Nader said, we're in the final stages of submitting a phase 2 protocol for MS to the FDA. Nader.
Thank you. And also, a professor at Montefiore Medical Center has reached out to us and indicated that he has studied leronlimab in detail, and he wants to do a study, very quick study in Alzheimer, and he has 400 patients available. We have agreed to go forward with that. Dr. Scott Kelly is in touch with the professor and myself. That professor happens to be very close to Dr. J. Lalezari, and Dr. J. Lalezari has agreed to help with that trial. So we will be submitting a phase 2 for Alzheimer probably very soon also. So before I talk about potential partnering and licensing deal, allow me to thank Dr. Paul Madden and Dr. William Olsen, who has a PhD from MIT, who are inventor and co-inventor of leronlimab respectively. Dr. Madden also has been tremendous advisor to us for about 7 years or so. Leronlimab is Dr. Paul Madden's brilliant creation. With many brilliant minds around the world, I am so excited about the people who have now become so interested to be part of Cytodyn Advisory Board. Dr. Kelly, please give us an update on that.
Yeah, I've been in the process of interviewing and discussing roles of key individuals to join our scientific advisory board in the fields of oncology, HIV, pulmonary, hepatology, nephrology, immunology, and autoimmune diseases, essentially in all fields where there's an opportunity for leronlimab. A recurring theme is that physicians are welcoming the opportunity with open arms. They find the science very compelling and are eager to have another tool in the toolbox to treat patients. I will announce publicly the selected scientific advisory board when the time is appropriate. Nader.
Thank you, Scott. And in regards to partnering and licensing deals, we have Dr. Brandon Ray and Dr. Kelly working together on multiple potentials, as I have said, and the discussions are going forward. Scott, please tell us a little bit update in that regard.
Yeah, as Nader said, I'm working closely with our Senior Vice President of Business Development, Dr. Brendan Ray. Brendan is an attorney and also has a PhD in virology. We are currently in discussions with companies in Asia, Bangladesh, India, South America, China, Europe, and some recent developments with Big Pharma in the United States. Our discussions are across all indications, including HIV, oncology, and COVID-19. Nader.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the Big Pharma has already told us that they like to see the data. So everybody's waiting for this very crucial data that we have coming out. And all the indications from all the patients in emergency IND to us is very strong, and we hope to announce that very soon. But now let's talk about fundraising and uplisting. Many investors are asking me about what happened with signing of an agreement with a big bank or investment bank, and what happened with uplisting. We've been making a lot of progress thanks to Mike Mulholland and his team, and I'm talking about a very large team now. We've been building the Cytodyn team, and Mike has done an excellent job doing that. Mike, could you give us an update on both of these?
Sure, thanks, Nader. We're very pleased to have recently signed an engagement letter with the top bank. They will serve as a very important resource for the company as we move forward. With respect to the uplist, obviously we are very focused on this opportunity. Based upon current and anticipated clinical and regulatory progress, we're very hopeful of a successful outcome in this endeavor. The initial listing standards for both NASDAQ and New York American are readily available in the public domain. Thus, you can easily conclude why we are so focused on New York American tier, and in particularly initial uplisting standard number 3 or 4A. So on balance, this is about a 6-week process that includes multiple steps, and as we get towards the culmination of these efforts with our back and forth with the initial listing group, we will provide everyone with updates when it's appropriate to do so.
Thank you so much, Mike. So with that, let us go to Q&A. Operator.
Thank you. And at this time, we'd like to have a Q&A session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. Your first question comes from line of Yi Chen with H.C. Wainwright. Please proceed with your question.
Thank you for taking my question. First question is, Nader, would you say that both the data from the phase 2 trial and the phase 2/3 trial in COVID-19 could possibly report data in July?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely.
Okay. And for the severe patients in the phase 2/3 trial, how many patients will be included in the interim analysis?
That's a great question. We have 69 patients enrolled in that trial. That trial is picking up. However, the 51 patients cutoff date was June 1st. This trial primary endpoint is 4-week readout, 28 days. So that's why we did that, so we can have both trials ready to go by the end of the month. But I have to caution everybody, it'll be first half of July before we can put the data out. But we are pushing, as always, to get the timelines done the right way. Go ahead.
Okay. And so for the mild to moderate patients, assuming positive data coming out of phase 2 trial, what would be the next step?
So we would like to turn that into the FDA and request them to guide us to what we can do with getting approval for that population. I have to say that there are quite a bit of exploratory immunological markers that we're analyzing. As you know, Dr. Bruce Patterson has a paper being published. Dr. Sitham Raju already published a paper, and there is 2 other doctors who are publishing these immunological benefits that we have seen in the emergency INDs have been quite stunning, to say the least. So we have all of those markers to turn in. Now, FDA could look at that and say, okay, you need to do a phase 3 in that trial on that population, or they could look at the interim analysis of the other one together and make some other decisions. We just don't know, and we can't guess what they will be doing.
But would you say it is likely that the FDA could require a phase 3 study for the mild to moderate patients as well?
Absolutely, that could be the case. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your next question? Yes, your next question comes from the line of Jeff Pfeiffer, private investor. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, thank you guys so much for taking my call. First of all, congratulations. This is a very positive call. Excited that everything's moving forward. You guys are doing a great job. Dr. Kelly, it's great to hear your voice. This question will probably be more for no problem. From Mike Mulholland. I just wanted to get a little clarification on the deal. You said that a deal has been signed with an investment bank. Could you name, are we at a place that you can name the bank and any terms of that deal? And then a little more specifically, you mentioned 6-week process for uplisting with multiple steps involved. are you saying that that process has already begun, or it's 6 weeks from whenever it does start? If you could just walk through kind of the terms of the deal and the timeline for uplisting. Thank you.
Let me address your first question at the outset here. One, to be very clear, we do not have a financing deal at hand, nor are we working on one, nor is one planned right now. We have simply signed an engagement letter, period. And we are not naming any names at this juncture. Secondly, with respect to the uplist, it's a 6-week process which has already commenced, and we have submitted an eligibility review package, and that is a 2-week review process by the exchange. We expect preliminary comments back in a week or 10 days. The company will review those comments, respond to them. The uplisting group will either clear the comments or will have an ongoing dialogue about certain things. Once the eligibility package has been cleared, the next step on a multi-step path would be we would expect a letter notifying us that we are cleared or approved to submit an uplist application, which is an easier lift than the initial eligibility package. We will, if we're so fortunate, we will promptly submit the application because we will have that completed in short order. And then the exchange will review that. We would expect that to be perfunctory, given how far down the path we would come. And then after yet another review process, we would expect to get an approval letter that you are approved to uplist, excuse me, with very likely, 1 to 4 contingencies, subject to certain contingencies that would need to be cleared. And if and when, we have an anticipation about what those contingencies might be, and we already have plans in process to promptly address those. So that's a brief overview of a rather Byzantine process, but again, we're hopeful that this will have a positive outcome.
And let me just Jeff, let me just add something real quick. We just announced like a few months ago, a few weeks ago, that when we raised $15 million, and it took the company, dilute the company less than 3.5 million shares. Same amount could have been raised during those 18 months difficult times and a few months after for 60 to 100 million shares. That means the dilution would have been, instead of 60 to 100 million, only 3.5 million. We're very, very cautious right now about diluting the company. When we say we want to authorize 100 million shares, I doubt if we use too much of this share, maybe 7 to 10% maximum of what we have, we might use. So people need to know that we have a good track record of raising money at best as we can and waiting to get us to this level. For many years, we keep raising a little bit. It was very difficult to do that, but we did it. Now, we believe that, again, we're at a position where the stock price is way undervalued, way undervalued, in my opinion. So we're not going to take any deal that comes to us, even though we have been getting 25 million deals, at $3, no warrants. We say no. So we are very careful about the shareholders' trust that has come to us to make sure we don't dilute the company too much. And Mike has done a fantastic job with this uplisting. I really feel like we're deep into it right now, and we should be able to get that, hopefully.
Great. Thank you so much. I just had one follow-up question. Thank you for addressing the increase in available shares. My question is Is that related to meeting the contingencies for uplisting to have that capacity, or is that just general balance sheet management to add capacity if needed?
Yeah, Mike Mulholland is doing something very nice that we like to surprise everybody about that, but let's just wait till the right time. But he has something up his sleeve that is going to make everybody very happy in regards to that. But I just can't talk about it.
Great, thank you so much. I'll wait for Christmas morning.
Sure.
Yeah, let me add to that. And sort of also maybe to preempt another question about, talk to us about the preliminary proxy statement you just filed seeking an increase in authorized common of another 100 million shares. As Nader just said, that's really on a contingency basis. Nader and the clinical team have really made my job easy, really, to be quite frank about it. And why is that? And that's because of the clinical developments that we are driving, which is now leading to regulatory developments and advancements, hopefully in the very near future. So what does that mean? The need for capital, we have projections for that. However, there's another very significant and only modestly untapped source of capital that we have right now, and that's the amount of warrants that we have still outstanding and are deeply in the money, and as we've indicated before, have a weighted average exercise price of about 64 cents a share. And ballpark, there's about 100 million shares or warrant shares that do not have a cashless exercise provision and have that kind of in-the-money spread. So if Nader and the clinical team and the regulators, if the stars align on that front, it's not unreasonable to expect that warrant exercises would accelerate, and that's a phenomenal amount of cash that is available for the company.
No, that's a great point, Mike, and that would reduce raising perhaps any amount. If everybody would exercise their warrant, the dilution could be zero till we get to perhaps the revenue. These are guesses on my part, but that's very good guess. Next question, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Jeff Smith, private investor. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, thanks for taking the call. Can you hear me?
Sure, yes. Go ahead, please.
Great, thank you. As we progress through the regulatory and the funding processes, has there been any analyst coverage or any guidance from any institutions or any type of price targets or anything to indicate that there would be a credible, formal, established price point for the next 6 to 12 months in terms of revenue potential and stock price? Thank you.
That's a great question. So let me just explain a little bit. With our HIV BLA, it will take time to get approval, which is a few more months if we do get the PDUFA date and everything's fine with FDA. Then we will have revenue from combination therapy, which is going to have to start picking up till we get to some large numbers. With COVID-19, it's different. We have a very large market size that I have just talked about it. And now, with a big institution be ready to talk to us right now, we are talking to big pharma, and as I said earlier, they want to see the primary endpoint. If the primary endpoint is hit in a phase 2, and if there's a need for phase 3, they don't care. They want to see the phase 2. They want to see the first proof, and then they're all going to be feeling very comfortable. But this company, we bought a product for $3.5 million down, and we had a lot of skeptics from everywhere saying that how could they turn this thing around? And so far, we have been very successful, thank God, but this milestone that's in front of us will define where we're going to be and which institutions we will be with. But uplisting also would be a tremendous event for us. We believe the company becomes a whole new company when we uplist, and those milestones are very doable now. Next,
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Next, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Peter Levine with Ameriprise Financial. Please proceed with your question.
Hello. Excellent information today. Thank you so much for all the effort that you've had for the last few weeks. My question is, does the company have the ability to move up warrant expiration? I'm sorry, excuse me.
No, we don't have that option of calling the warrants. These warrants, the only thing we have done in the past is we ask, we sometimes give incentives to motivate certain warrant holders to exercise. We had a warrant incentive call one time for 30 days where we were asking everybody to exercise their warrant if we give them certain compensation for that, or incentive, I should say. So, no, we don't have that, unfortunately.
All right. Well, where are you on Mexico? That's the only question I had.
Sure. I am in touch with Dr. Gustavo Tran, and we are hoping that their protocol gets through their FDA. If it does, again, the enrollment over there would be very quick, 25 patients only. So we're working very closely. I mean, when they send us email, we usually answer it within an hour. So, and the protocol has been sent to them, IND was sent to them, everything they asked for has been sent to them. So we are doing everything from our side, but again, NIH in Mexico, are they as slow as NIH in the United States? I'm not sure, and how fast they can move, but we'll let everybody know as things progress.
So you can't give us any kind of timeline?
I don't, because it all depends on somebody else, so it's not depend on us. They have to come back to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Next, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Kartik Subramanian with Private Investor. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, thank you all for taking my question. Just a high-level strategy type question. I just wanted to hear the leadership maybe assess the competitive landscape of a race to a COVID-19 treatment. And I wondered if you could, I know this drug has multiple theoretical and practical uses, but I just wondered if you could compare the market size between, preventing a tumor from metastasizing, potentially COVID, and the HIV. Like, which one of those do you see as being the most financially viable use? But I'm more interested in just hearing high-level strategy as to how you see the competitive landscape to a COVID-19 treatment. Thank you.
Yeah, so in regards to COVID-19, as we know, there is remdesivir out there as a competition. So our recent data of 70 emergency IND, by the way, I think no company got 70 emergency INDs, but those data speaks for itself. And if remdesivir, what we are hearing is they're going to have about $7 or $8 billion market size for next year, they were predicting. And if those numbers are right, then our competition is over there. But we don't have a strategy of picking or choosing. Our strategy is right now, COVID-19 is everything. This is the big problem. If we are successful and if our product has shown the safety that we have shown for 900 patients, if FDA is good with that, then we are ahead of everybody, because everybody else have to do safety. The safety is about 1,000, 2,000 patients. Why we don't have 1,000, 2,000 patients? Because our safety has been generated in HIV population for more than 900 patients, individuals. So with that, we are focused on COVID-19. Now, at the same time, we do not take our eyes off the ball. We are right on there with the cancer. Dr. Jailal Azari is managing that, and there's a lot of sites that we have. They all are looking at, to move forward. A breakthrough designation for that is coming. So we will decide what to do as we get to these milestones, but then the HIV would be probably the last one, because the approval is probably toward the end of the year. We could have, in my opinion, we might be able to get breakthrough designation for cancer due to these results of patients' CTC being 0 and so forth. And with regard to COVID-19, we're very, very close to major milestones. Next, please.
Thank you.
Hey, now I'll add one thing to that.
You
You know, all the markets that we're going after are very large markets. I mean, you know, when you look at NASH, you'll see different figures of 20 to 26 billion. You know, the immunotherapy market, with some mediocre success, is tremendous. I mean, well over 100 billion. I mean, you know, some of these Keytrudas is supposed to reach 22.5 billion by 2025. And then you've got COVID, which is just enormous. You know, every day I wake up and I look at the how many more patients are infected. I mean, this morning it was 7.5 million with 421,000 deaths. And, you know, until we have an effective vaccine or herd immunity, this is going to unfortunately be a problem. And so, you know, we're going to do our very best to address that problem.
And Scott, have you seen anybody else in competition with us in regards to COVID-19 besides remdesivir?
You know, I've seen some stuff from interleukin-6 inhibitors. I just think that's part of, you know, treating the cytokine storm and other, you know, colony stimulating factors, same kind of thing. I mean, I think that we have, if we hit our primary endpoint, we have a real solution to this problem, in my opinion.
And am I right that the big pharmas that you guys are talking to, you and Brandon, they want to see the data from interim analysis of phase 2 that we're doing, correct?
That's absolutely correct, yes.
Okay, so thank you, Scott. Next question, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Nick Kova with Tensoko Capital. Please proceed with your question.
In line with what you were just discussing, how many of the EIND patients had lab analysis for, you know, kind of a complete lab 0, 3, 7, 14-day period?
Thanks, Nick, for the question. So the first 11 patients at Montefiore, we did all those analysis, and then later on we did few more, but I stopped all of that. I mean, I wanted everything to be focused on the phase 2. We saw the benefit on 11 out of 11. They had immunological benefit. How much more do you need? And when we shared that with FDA, rightfully so, they said, great, good job. So that's more reason where you should speed up your enrollment. So FDA had a call with us just a few days ago, and they said, you need to speed up your COVID-19 critical trial. And we asked them for relaxing the criteria for enrollment, and as of yesterday morning, they gave us all the relaxed criteria that we asked for, everything. And Dr. Sitham Raju, Dr. Otto Yang, they all were on the call with FDA with us. They're all adamant that this is going to, you know, have to pick up. So, I mean, there is no reason for us to do extra work when we already know what this product potentially is doing, and our hypothesis is the cytokine storm goes down, immunological benefit comes back, people are able to be saved. But again, correctly so, FDA wants randomized trial, and we are doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, Nader, to your point, I mean, these are clinical outcome measures, you know, that we're looking at. So it's not really the lab data that's going to get this drug approved. It's the clinical outcome measures, to Nader's point.
Exactly. Go ahead, Nick.
And then the next question I had was just, you talked about potentially looking at some government funding. Any updates on that?
Yeah, Scott, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to government funding, all I can say is that it's an opportunity we're exploring, and that we will update everyone when appropriate. But we are definitely looking at any government funding as well.
The only problem, Nick, we have is, Nick, thank you, but the only problem we have is with government funding, we always are in rush because this is a bad situation for the world in regards to COVID-19. And if we are able to help, if we are really what we say we are, then we got to just rush everything. Can't just wait for the funding from government to come in. But once we hit our primary endpoint, I think the government would also be rushing everything for us. So thanks, Nick. Next question, please.
Your next question comes from the line of D. Thompson, private investor. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you again for holding this press conference for us to be updated, and congratulations on reaching your enrollment numbers for COVID, as well as the official PR you put out this afternoon on that. Thank you very much. You had mentioned on May 26th, I believe, the new position of commercial officer, and I noticed on OTC Markets as of 5/20, a 16th employee has been added. Is that commercial officer on board now?
That commercial officer is going to be hired as a consultant. We have a very strong company that's signing distribution agreement with us. And we believe having that company that agree to sign an agreement with us, the commercialization office that we need is going to be based on consulting agreement for now, and then later on we will bring him as a full-time if needed. But Mike, how many employees do we have now?
About 18.
18, okay.
18. Yeah. Okay, even better. So what exactly does the commercial officer, even as a consultant, what specifics are you looking for from him or her?
Well, the usual commercialization officer, they want to be able to set up a network of all the sales force that they want to have and be able to be in touch with all the hospitals and manage all of those. When the drug comes out, it has to be labeled through, for example, in our case at Sherpa, the transfer of the drug, it has a stability timeline. Those has to be met. So some of these drugs might be returned. There's a lot of documents that has to be taken care of, and there's a lot of preparation has to be done to launch a product. So that person will be doing that because COVID-19 is going to sell itself. If you have a product that's workable and it's working, there is no need for advertisement. Immediately you can sell those. So we have scaled back our expectation of to have this person in our company full time. In regards to HIV, we already signed an agreement with Viera, so we don't need any of that. But we want somebody to be a point contact for us to manage all of these relationships, and that's what we are hoping this person will be able to show us that they can do, and I'm very confident that person can do that.
Great, thank you. Regarding the Scientific Advisory Board that you just mentioned for the second time, can you give any details, such as how many members would it have? When might it, say, have its first meeting? Any specifics of its purposes?
So I'm actively putting together that right now. It's to me, it's not really about the quantity. I mean, I could really put as many people on this as I wanted to. It's really about the quality. So that's something I'm in discussions with some of the team about right now. Is we want to identify the best and across multiple indications, as I was saying, everything from immunology, nephrology, potentially pulmonary, cancer, everything, and try to put this group together that can help us. Because we're fortunate in the sense we have an incredible molecule. We need to actively pursue all these indications. So we want to put together the world's best team to assist us with that.
Wow, that's wonderful. Will you have a deal with that investment bank within the 6 weeks that it would take to get an uplisting process to the exchange?
Yes. Thank you for the question. We are, however, precluded from commenting specifically on any future capital raises.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you like to add something, Dr. Parasan?
No, I'm just saying that Mike would love to talk about that, but we just can't do this. We have SEC rules that we have to go by.
Of course, no worries. You had mentioned an Alzheimer's with 400 patients. Are those actually a full group of patients that would be available, like immediately, to do that phase 2 trial?
So
for Alzheimer's, for example, is what you mentioned?
Sure, I'll comment and I'll have Scott comment. But those patients, when you write a protocol, the patients have to pass the screening. So we're in the just preliminary part, but this professor has worked about 20 or 30 years of his life in Alzheimer, and he's the one that reached out to us, says leronlimab definitely going to be very valuable. So we are going forward, and as we discover more things about it, we will tell you. But Scott, would you like to say a few words about this?
Yeah, Nader and I have both personally talked to this physician. It's very exciting, and I've also spoke to a number of other physicians that are interested in joining the trial. I don't think that getting the number of patients enrolled will be a problem in that. And I think that, I tell Nader often that we've learned more about this molecule from COVID in the last 6 months than we have in years. And, with Rantes disrupting the blood-brain barrier, I think there's some incredible opportunity in the central nervous system that we were, not actively pursuing. And Alzheimer's is certainly one of those.
And how's your cancer enrollment going? Is it more than 10 now? And I believe there was a woman, Mrs. Kennedy, who was looking to be part of the leronlimab treatment.
Yeah, so we have really got a lot of patients coming to us, but the site that we have at Quest, Dr. Jalal Azari is single-handedly with his wonderful team are handling it. I think we might be close to 20 now, but we'll give you the update on that on the next call. But we also got to let other people have a question if you don't mind. So thank you so much for your question.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Yeah.
You too. Bye-bye. Next, please.
Your next question comes from the line of Robert Beck with Pinnacle Investments. Please proceed with your question.
Hi. Thank you very much for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yes, Robert. Go ahead, please.
You guys are doing a wonderful job, and I just wanted to thank you very much. I have first question was, you talk about Pro 140, that it wasn't embraced early on, and it was relatively cheap compound. What was the problem that other scientists or other companies saw with that you were able to overlook?
So Dr. Paul Madden, at the time that leronlimab was sold, was not the CEO of Progenics. He's the person who actually created this product with Dr. William Olson, who was a PhD from MIT, and we had a lot of discussions. When I found this product in a meeting that I had put together in Boston, Dr. William Olson said it is so sad to see a product work so fantastic, but the regulatory pathway going forward is just not there for Progenics. And Progenics indicated that their cancer drug had done fantastic job, and they want to concentrate on that and not on the HIV that would be a combination, and the drugs that were coming out were very fantastic. It was oral product. So when we took that, we were just very, very lucky to be at the right place at the right time. Dr. Paul Madden guided us through all of these, who's the creator of this product, inventor and co-inventor. They all worked with us. We took a different path, though. We just gave the money back to NIH. We said we're not going to do that path. It's just going to be time consuming. And 2 years later, that trial only enrolled 2 patients, and we were proven right. And monotherapy just did fantastic, opened the door to many other opportunities. And Dr. Scott Kelly and I were very, very adamant that we have to pursue all indications, which now proved to be the fantastic decision. We did have a lot of pushback from internal, from board, but we overcame that with Dr. Scott Kelly's heroic move that he did in the last couple of years. So, any other question?
Well, thank you. I just wanted to follow up. You talked about competing therapies being remdesivir, and then some IL-6 inhibitors that have yet to be approved. But I've been reading a lot about plasma replacement therapies. Is that something else that is viable, that could be a competition for leronlimab?
Scott, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, all of these are possibilities. I've looked into it. I don't see it as a significant threat at this point. I think, what we're very fortunate is that we realized this problem early, and that it's not just a viral problem, and that it's a hyperimmune response, and that you really got to attack that early in order to help these patients. So I think it's, it might hold some promise, but again, we'll have to see the readouts on the trials.
Great. And then
we hope that, look, we at the end of the day, we hope there's a lot of treatments available for patients. We just feel confident that we have something that's extremely special.
It's very exciting, Dr. Kelly. Thank you. The last question I have is about the phase 3 CD12 trial. I think you said that you have 69 patients now enrolled, and the goal was to have 390. And I understand that you're going to unblind that test at the same time that the phase 2 trial is going on. But my question is about the results for that trial. Is it going to be enough patients enrolled in both of those, or in this phase 3 trial, to get the FDA to approve it? And is there going to be enough patients out of the 390 that you had the goal for?
We believe that it is, and the FDA has told us that this is your phase 3 registrational trial. And the the power of the study was calculated by the biostatisticians at Amarex who used to work at FDA. So we feel very confident with that.
Great. Thank you so much. Great job, guys. Really fantastic.
Appreciate it. Okay, the operator, I guess we have to end the call. I'd just like to give some ending comments. So I want everybody to know that our COVID-19 phase 2 has now reached the enrollment requirement of 75. Second one, 51 patient interim analysis. In that second phase 3 trial, there will be, unfortunately, certain patients will die. It is 2-to-1 placebo control. That means if a patient dies, unfortunately, in a placebo, that would be counted twice. The percentage are from 1/3 versus 2/3. So we feel very confident with our situation in that trial. In regards to cancer, all the cancer programs are going forward, the basket trial, the phase 1B-2, the compassionate emergency IND, and so forth. And NASH, Alzheimer, MS, all of them going to be added to what we have, which is GVHD, COVID-19, and cancer trials. So with all that, we will look forward to update the shareholders again, hopefully in a few weeks. Thank you, everyone, for participating, and have a great day.
This concludes today's conference. You may disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation.